Hey guys, I'm Jim and I'm obsessed with movies, and I am a grown man who still loves Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
What a dick.
It's time to take an in-depth look back at the very first Ninja Turtles movie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990. Rock on. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles debuted in comic books in 1984, and of course in 1987 we were treated to the classic cartoon that made everyone and their mother a fan of the Turtles, and also defined many childhoods, including mine. Now this is a cartoon that hasn't aged spectacularly, but I still think it's really good. I love the unique style of the show. There really had never been a cartoon like this before. I love the animation, and each of the Turtles brought a very unique personality to the table, and were all very fun to watch. The image of Krang has just been in my head ever since I first saw him. What a memorable villain. I mean, just look at him, he's a great creation. Along with Krang, Shredder was also a very enduring character, a very fun villain who wasn't overly serious but had his moments of greatness. Of course, this show wasn't overly accurate to the original comics. Sure, it had the characters down, but the dark and gritty edge wasn't there. If only there was a film that mixed the great parts of the cartoon and the awesome elements of the comics. And then there was, as production on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the movie began in the late 80s. Awesome! Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was released on March 30th, 1990 on a budget of $13.5 million. The film went on to become the highest grossing independent film of all time, as well as the 9th highest grossing film worldwide of 1990, making $202 million box office total. The film spawned 2 sequels and propelled the Ninja Turtles into legendary status. These characters are cash cows, and whatever they appear in sells. They have a worldwide fan base. So why can't this movie have some special features? But no, this movie, I bet that's got a shit ton of special features. Michael Bay sitting there watching a film scratching his dick. Give me some special features for the 1990 Ninja Turtles, the one that actually matters. Can you tell I didn't like the remake?
Get out of here.
Much of the film's production took place in North Carolina, with a couple of location shoots in New York City during the summer of 1989 to capture famous landmark areas, such as Times Square, the Empire State Building and the Hudson River. Filming in North Carolina took place at the North Carolina Film Studios, where New York rooftop sets were created. Production designer Roy Forge Smith and his art director Gary Wisner went to New York City 4 months prior to filming and took some still photographs of rooftops and other various locations. While in New York, Smith and Wisner were allowed to explore an abandoned Brooklyn subway line, as they could not gain access to a city sewer, but the structure of the subway had the same principle as a sewer. They also went to visit a water tunnel which had large pipes running through it. After the design sketches were created, the construction team used the studio's backlot to create some of the sets. In order to make the sewer authentic, a tide mark was given, and it was covered with brick, plaster and stucco paint to give the walls a realistic look. The Turtles themselves were created by Jim Henson's Creature Shop in London. Jim Henson said that the Turtles were the most advanced puppets that he had ever worked with. The creatures were first made out of fiberglass and then remoulded out of clay. They were produced as moulds to cast the whole body in foam rubber latex. The work at the shop was completed within 18 weeks. Jim Henson, whose workshop provided the movie's turtle costumes, was reportedly upset about the level of violence in the finished movie. While he was proud to have helped advance the art of animatronics, he viewed the violence as excessive, pointless and not his style. I have loads of respect for Jim Henson, but the film's called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Ninja. Which means they're gonna fight.
Can you believe this guy?
Many major studios such as Walt Disney, Columbia Pictures, MGM, Orion Pictures and Paramount turned down the film for distribution. They were worried that despite the popularity of the cartoon and the toy line, the film could potentially be a box office disappointment, like Masters of the Universe was just a couple of years prior. The film finally found distribution roughly halfway through the initial production via the then small and independent production company New Line Cinema. The voice cast consisted of Josh Pais as Raphael, Robbie Rist as Michelangelo, Brian Tochi as Leonardo, Corey Feldman as Donatello, and Kevin Clash as Splinter. As for the in-suit performance, Josh Pais was Raphael, Micheline Sisti was Michelangelo, Leif Tilden was Donatello, David Foreman was Leonardo, and Kevin Clash was Splinter's puppeteer. with Ricky Boyd, Splinter's facial assistant. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles tells the story of 4 turtles who were formed through a chemical accident, and their master, Splinter the Rat, who live underneath New York City in the sewers. A major crime wave breaks out in New York with the notorious Foot Clan and some tearaway teens led by the mysterious Shredder, causing chaos at every turn. It's up to these heroes in a half shell, along with their reporter friend April and lone wolf Casey Jones, to bring the Foot Clan and Shredder to justice. I absolutely love this movie. I know I'm not alone, but these days a lot of people seem to diss the film because it's a Turtles movie, and that can never be taken seriously because it's just men in costumes. Well, I'd rather have men in costumes than paint, but that's just me. And no, it's not nostalgia. I mean, of course I have nostalgic memories of the film, but at the same time, I'm not liking the film for that reason. I'm deadly serious. If I saw this today, I would still think it's a great movie. The first live action Turtles movie has a lot more to it than people give credit for. This is a film full of great passion, energy and enthusiasm to bring the cartoon series and comic books to life. You can tell this was made by people who actually cared about the material and didn't just make the film because they needed another franchise to drain some money out of. I promise I'll stop firing shots at the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles at some point in this review. Probably the end.
Of course he is.
Director Steve Barron's world is gritty and dark and takes the Turtles more serious than we were used to, but there's still a colourful and youthful tone running throughout the film, and I actually think this is one of the best examples I've ever seen of mixing a dark and light tone. As well as being a truly fun watch, I mean, I always end this film with a smile on my face, this film has several serious themes and gritty ideas. Raphael, always the most rebellious turtle, is in full force with his renegade attitude over the course of the film. He must learn to control his anger and respect his brothers and his father Splinter. Raphael is a far cry from his cartoon counterpart. No longer is he just a wise ass. Now Raph has complicated things going on behind his eyes and is a real character, far closer to the original depiction from the comics. Raph is troubled and confused, and that makes his relationship with Splinter even more meaningful, as Splinter fully understands Raph's frustration and is there for him, informing him he doesn't have to suffer alone. In fact, Splinter's relationship with each of the Turtles is a big part of the film. There are so many touchy moments in which Splinter bonds with them, or when he is kidnapped, contacts them telepathically. Some of these scenes are up there with any serious or legitimate drama of the time, and I'm dead serious, it's done so well. When the Turtles are gathered round a campfire communicating with their kidnapped master, there is a real sense of peace and charm to the scene that pulls at your heartstrings, and you really feel the strong relationship they have.
With my final words, I love you all, my sons.
So many of these scenes have such great heart, and I'm wondering what a lot of the critics were thinking when they said there was nothing to this film but fighting and jokes. No, there was a whole lot more, and I don't understand how they missed it. In fact, I remember being a kid and actually thinking they were spending too much time expanding on things, because of course being young all I wanted was the Turtles to kick some ass. But now watching it as an adult, I really appreciate the fact that this film takes its time in moments and has so many sweet and gentle areas where things slow down and the characters and themes are allowed time to breathe. There's a strong theme of family and broken homes, with many of New York's children running away to join the Shredder's gang, claiming him as a father figure. Danny, played by Michael Turney, is April's boss's son, and he enters the underground lair as a lost soul. He's a good kid at heart, but he doesn't get on with his father, so he runs away. There are some great subtle moments between him and the captured Splinter, in which Splinter makes him realise the importance of family, and also talking to people about your problems instead of running away from them, or turning to a crowd who wants to take advantage of you. This is a very sentimental film under all the teenage humour and fun moments. This is far from a cynical or empty film, and even though it's not the smartest film in the world, it's a very charming one. Now, when it comes to certain people, they seem to find it impossible, or even insulting, to take seriously a film about Ninja Turtles. Therefore, they will see nothing in it, or they will just tell you if you like it, it's entirely nostalgia.
And it's funny because you said nostalgic memory. That memory can only be nostalgic because if you have a look at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles now, it's rubbish. I mean, it's really rubbish, the original Teenage Mutant. I don't care what you think about, where you were at the time and blah, blah, blah. I mean, that whole idea, mutated Ninja Turtles living under the streets, it's kind of cute in the comic strip. The film was rubbish.
The 1990 Turtles movie, it's rubbish. It's rubbish. Just such a closed-minded opinion on the movie, coming from the man who hates Star Wars and loves Twilight. I rest my case.
Where did they come up with this stuff?
Don't get me wrong, I respect his opinion, and maybe he does just genuinely hate the film, but I do get a sneaking suspicion that there are a lot of critics and people who just refuse to take any Turtles film seriously. Just because it's about a ridiculous concept, that doesn't mean it's impossible to care. It doesn't mean you can't possibly take it serious, and if you can't, in my humble opinion, you're missing the point of the movies. Many films we are supposed to be exposed to the world of the ridiculous and the far-fetched, but if the film's good, it doesn't matter if the idea on the surface is silly. Of course, this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so despite the serious moments, this is still a very fun movie. The Turtles each are very endearing and they're all great fun, never annoying and perfect childhood characters. These Turtles feel like friends you would want to hang out with when you were young. They're good-hearted and full of energy and happiness. Still to this day, I love watching the Turtles mess around, it always cheers me up. As for the look of the Turtles, I really like the work Jim Henson did here. The Turtles for the time look pretty great. To me, I can suspend my disbelief, and these Turtles have weight, presence and a certain style to the design that is very faithful to the cartoon series. And I've always said this, practical effects always have the ability to be better than CGI, because practical effects make you feel involved, they draw you into the world, and they help you feel like you are having a genuine experience with these characters. So much CGI for me feels like I'm watching a film. Practical effects make me feel like I'm involved in a film. Yes, you can tell it's people in suits, get over it. Many amazing characters are people in suits. And I don't see why it's a bad thing. April, the Turtles' reporter friend, played by Judith Hoag, looks very accurate to her cartoon counterpart. I mean, from the get-go, she's got the yellow coat, the banana coat. The banana jacket, the exact jacket she had in the cartoon. I love it. Actually, I don't love it, it's bloody awful, but at least she has it. Her affection for the Turtles and her flirting with Casey Jones is very believable and fun to watch, and overall she's just an enjoyable character with a lot of attitude and charisma. Good old Robin Williams, rest in peace, who was a big fan of the Ninja Turtles, oh my god if I could love Robin Williams anymore, provided Judith Hoag with information regarding her character through his comic book collection when the two were co-starring in Cadillac Man in 1990, when the Turtles film first went into production. Elias Koteas as Casey Jones is perfectly cast, and to this day seems to be the fan favourite of the character. He's very cocky and energetic, and he's kind of a grown man version of one of the Turtles. I love Elias Koteas' carefree attitude and smart ass delivery. He's great fun to watch and completely fits in with the world of the Turtles. Every 5 minutes he has a hilarious scene or line. Splinter is obviously such a lovely character in this film. He only has good things to say to everyone, and is such a positive influence on everyone he comes into contact with. Even when he's tied up bleeding and slowly dying, he's still a lovely little rat for God's sake. Splinter has several thoughtful speeches and delivers them in such a meaningful way. He has a voice that really soothes you but also causes you to actually take in what he's saying and think about it. The puppet looks great by the way, and you can't tell me different. This is an epic puppet. He's a sewer rat who looks charming. This is just a sewer rat. I really like Leonardo's character in this. He actively tries to be leader and clashes with Raph, but the point ends up being driven home that Leo cares the most about Raph, as when he's been injured, Leo is at Raph's side the entire time. Leo has a loyal personality, he cares about his brothers and he gets regretful when he does something wrong, and when Raph wakes up, he's also very regretful for shunning Leo too. It's these small moments between the characters that make you care for their relationship and make you realise why the Turtles are the protagonists, because they are genuinely good characters. They deserve our support because they're simply trying their best and learning along the way, just like real teenagers.
You know, about not needing you and all. Like, Leo, don't. Oh, boy, we missed you.
Okay, that's enough.
Shredder, played by James Saito, is incredible in this movie. While Shredder in the cartoon could be a bit comical, this guy is all business. He fits the gritty tone perfectly, and Steve Barron does a great job in how he presents him. Shredder just feels like a real spectacle. He's so intimidating, plus he looks cool as hell. He also keeps to the shadows and isn't in the film that much, but when he is, it means a hell of a lot and you are glued to the screen as he makes his menacing speeches. The end fight between Shredder and the Turtles once again treats this villain with respect, as none of them can handle this ice-cold madman. This is another example of the film taking what was in the cartoon, and in this case for sure developing on it further, and blending it with the comics. Shredder is deadly serious in this and has very devilish intentions. There is nothing jokey about him. For some reason, and I'm not sure why, I do remember watching the cartoon Shredder and thinking to myself, if he was in a film, he'd be very dark and serious. It would just be the right thing to do despite him not being overly dark in the cartoon. And I hadn't even read the comics where Shredder is dark. I don't know, it's just the concept of Shredder. I knew it would be epic if done more serious. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles received fairly negative reviews and has a Rotten Tomatoes consensus which reads, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is exactly as advertised. One-liners, brawls and general silliness. Good for the young at heart, irritating for everyone else. 2 sequels were of course produced, and to be honest, I could see that Rotten Tomatoes consensus being applied to the sequels. Even though I liked the second film, the kid-friendly style was amped up, but it's a very fun over-the-top kids film. The less said about the third the better. I feel like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles gets lumped in with the sequels, and that's such a shame. If you haven't actually seen the film for years, and you've regarded it as bad because it's in a fairly diss series, you should give it another chance. You may notice that there is much more merit in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles than you think.
I like it!
Thanks for watching everyone, that was my in-depth look at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990. What do you think of the movie? Let me know in the comments. Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's rubbish? Just rubbish? Let me know. And join me for more reviews coming up. I have plenty more retrospectives and retro reviews planned. I'm also going to be starting up eventually my secondary series for this channel because I've got retro reviews, but I'm also going to be reviewing superhero films. That's going to be the 2 main series on my channel, retro movies and superhero movies, so they're going to be coming soon. So if you enjoy my content, please like the video, please subscribe for more, and thank you for watching. And I'm Jim, and I'm obsessed with movies, and it's my job to make everyone else just as obsessed. Thanks for watching.